जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय गोपी जन जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय गोपी जन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर श्री राधे राधा श्याम सुंदर जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So we are reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 82, Text 39. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Gopyasya Krishnamupalabhya Chiradabhishtam Yad prekshane drishishu pakshma kritam shapante दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वास् तद्भावमापुरपि नित्ययुजां दुरापम् गोप्य कृष्णमुपलभ्य चिरादभीष्टम् यत्प्रेक्षणे दृशिषु पक्ष्मकृतं शपन्ति दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वा तद्भावमापुरपि नित्ययुजां दुरापम् गोप्यश्च कृष्णमुपलभ्य चिरादभीष्टम् यत्प्रेक्षणे दृशिषु पक्ष्मकृतं शपन्ति दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वा तद्भावमापुरपि नित्ययुजां दुरापम् गोप्यश्च कृष्णमुपलभ्य चिरादभीष्टम् यत्प्रेक्षणे दृशिषु पक्ष्मकृतं शपन्ति दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वास् तद्भावमापुरपि नित्ययुजां दुरापम् गोप्यश्च कृष्णमुपलभ्य चिरादभीष्टम् यत्प्रेक्षणे दृशिषु पक्ष्मकृतं शपन्ति दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वास् तद्भावमापुरपि नित्ययुजां दुरापम् श्रीशुक उवाच गोप्यश्च कृष्णमुपलभ्य चिरादभीष्टम् यत्प्रेक्षणे दृशिषु पक्ष्मकृतं शपन्ति दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वास् तद्भावमापुरपि नित्ययुजां दुराप माताजी एनीवन गोप्यश्च कृष्णमुपलभ्य चिरादभीष्टम् यत्प्रेक्षणे दृशिषु पक्ष्मकृतं शपन्ति दृग्भिर्हृदि कृतमलं परिरभ्य सर्वास् तद्भावमापु gaurapi nityayujam dura. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Shukdev Goswami said, Gopyaha, the young cowherd women, Cha, and Krishnam, Krishna, Upalabhya, sighting, Chirat, after a long time, Abhishtam, their object of desire, Yat, whom, Prekshane, while seeing, Drishishu, on their eyes, Pakshma, of lids, Kritam, the maker, Shapanti, they would curse, Drigbhihi, with their eyes, Hridikritam, taken into their hearts, Alam, to their satisfaction, Parirabhya, embracing, Sarvah, all of them, Tat, in him, Bhavam, ecstatic absorption, Apuhu, attained, Api, even though, Nitya, constantly, Yujam, for those engaged in yogic discipline, Durapam, difficult to attain. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Shukdev Goswami said, while gazing at their beloved Krishna, the young gopis used to condemn the creator of their eyelids, which would momentarily block their vision of him. Now seeing Krishna again after such a long separation, with their eyes they took him into their hearts, and there they embraced him to their full satisfaction. In this way, they became totally absorbed in ecstatic meditation on him. Although those who constantly practice mystic yoga find such absorption difficult to achieve. Purport. According to Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī, just then Lord Balaram saw the gopis standing short distance away. Seeing them trembling with eagerness to meet Krishna and apparently ready to give up their lives if they could not, he tactfully decided to get up and involve himself elsewhere. Then the gopis attained the state described in the current verse. In referring to the gopis' intolerant disrespect of Lord Brahma, the creator of eyelids, Shukdev Goswami is giving vent to his own subtle jealousy of the gopis' favored position. Srila Jiva Goswami offers an alternate understanding of the phrase Nitya Yujam, which may mean even the Lord's principal queens who tend to be proud of their constant association with him. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada writes, because they had been separated from Krishna for so many years, the gopis, having come along with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, felt intense ecstasy in seeing Krishna. No one can even imagine how anxious the gopis were to see Krishna again. As soon as Krishna became visible to them, they took him inside their hearts, through their eyes, and embraced him to their full satisfaction. Even though they were embracing Krishna only mentally, they became so ecstatic and overwhelmed with joy that for the time being they completely forgot themselves. The ecstatic trance which they achieved simply by mentally embracing Krishna is impossible to achieve even for the great yogis constantly engaged in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna could understand that the gopis were wrapped in ecstasy by embracing him in their minds, and therefore, since he is present in everyone's heart, he also reciprocated the embracing from within. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam वंदेहम श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांक्षण गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas who are assembled here to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are reading from 10th canto, chapter 82. This chapter describes Krishna meeting with the inhabitants of Vrindavan. The Vedic Shastras instructs a person in three ways. There are three kinds of upadesha or instructions given by the Vedic literatures. First kind of instruction is called prabhu sammitopadesh. Prabhu sammitopadesh means when Shastras instruct a person in a very commanding way, in a way like a master instructing a servant. So these are instructions given in the Vedas, where the Vedas directly say to a person that one should not lie, one should not commit sin, one should not do this, one should not do that. That's all. Is my voice audible? So these are one kind of instruction that Shastra gives. This is called Hitopadesh. That means Shastra is instructing like a Prabhu, like a master. You shouldn't do this. That's all. Done. Then and there it is done. This is called Prabhu Sammitopadesh. The second kind of instruction that Shastra gives is called Suhrit Sammitopadesh. Now this is special because here the Shastras don't just instruct, don't just tell that you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Here Shastra, like a Suhrida, like a Mitra, like a brother, he brings that person very close. He tells you, he listens to you, like a suhrid, like a friend listens to you and listen to all your things that you have and then tells you, why don't you think about this? Why don't you think about this? What happens if we do this? What happens if we do that? So the Shastras sometimes, especially the Puranas, instruct us like a suhrid, like a mitra, like a close friend, like a brother, bringing us close and then telling us, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. And leaving the result, leaving the action upon us. This is called Suhrit Sammitopadesh. But there is a third kind of instruction that Shastra gives. This is called Kanta Sammitopadesh. Kanta Sammitopadesh is a type of instruction where Shastras instruct us like a Kanta. Kanta means lover. Like a wife. So there are instructions in the Shastras, just like a wife, when she is instructing her husband, first thing that she does is she speaks very sweet words. So as soon as some sweet word is spoken, half the work is done. Like we all know. So this is called Kanta Sammitopadesh. If the wife comes, she says, Eji, suniye na, that's all done. Half the work is done there itself. So the Shastras instruct us in this way. This is called Kanta Sammitopadesh. Instructing in a way like a lover instructs. So first thing that Shastra does is that it attracts us. The Vani itself is so attractive that a person gets absorbed in the Vani itself, and then whatever the Shastra says after that, one will accept it. Okay, this is done. We are going to do this. So what do you think, which is the best kind of instruction? Kanta Samhita, everybody agrees. I think you have some experience of it. So these are three kinds of instruction. So the Vedas generally instruct us in a way which is like a master instructing, like a father instructing. Do this, that's all. Don't lie. But Puranas, they tell us stories. You know, there was a story, there was one person, Ajamila, who committed a sin, and then he was almost in a dying state, and then came the Yamadutas and they tied the rope around him, and if you commit sin, this is what is going to happen. So you should not commit sin, that's all. This is called Suhrit Samhitopadesh. But Kantas means like a lover, very closely, bringing you very close, holding your hand and then telling you, this is what one should do. So you see, Puranas instruct us in Suhrit ways. But this Srimad Bhagavatam instructs us in all three ways. You will find in Srimad Bhagavatam there are places where directly some instructions are given. There are other places where you will find some analogies, some stories, and through which some instructions are being given. And there are other places in Srimad Bhagavatam where the kavya, where the words are so touching to the heart, the stories are so touching to the heart that one gets absorbed, and then whatever is being spoken, one accepts it with complete conviction. So especially when we are talking about the love of the Vraj Gopis, Srimad Bhagavatam instructs us in this way. The words itself are so heart-touching, so heart-wrenching, that such a difficult subject matter, which is so difficult to be understood, the love of the Gopis, is instructed to instruct a person reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam uses such beautiful words in glorification of the love of the Vraj Gopis that the readers and the hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam will first get attracted to the storyline, first get attracted to what is being spoken, and then completely give up their life in worshipping the love of the Vraj Gopis. This is how Srimad Bhagavatam instructs. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is called Granthraj. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, because there are all kinds of instruction. It is trying to attract us to the lotus feet of Krishna in all possible ways. You see, this reading and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is like a journey. These 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are hearing it regularly, reading it. We are going page by page, reading these sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is like a journey through a lake which is filled with many fragrant, beautiful flowers, lotuses, lilies. You can understand it in this way. So it's a journey. And in this journey there are two swans who are frolicking, who are strolling through this lake which is filled with many lotuses. These lotuses are the different pastimes that are given in different cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are two swans who are frolicking and going around in this lake, experiencing the beautiful fragrance and beautiful texture and the flower which is present in this lake. Who are those two beautiful swans? They are Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. These are two swans. And Shukdev Goswami is that one swan who is guiding us, who is guiding Parikshit, who is following through this lake. Shukdev Goswami goes through first canto, second canto, explains different pastimes of Krishna in fourth canto, fifth canto, and then bringing Parikshit, making Parikshit experience the beautiful fragrance and the exquisite beauty of this entire lake. In this lake, there are many flowers, there are many pastimes that are being spoken by Sri Shukdev Goswami. But there is one special flower one special blue lotus somewhere in the middle of the lake. That lotus is the love of the Vrajvasis, which is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shukdev Goswami, who is taking us through the journey, taking Parikshit through the journey, he is making Parikshit experience different pastimes of Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, which has happened in different yugas, in Manvantaras and every other place. But there is that one big, beautiful, having exquisite beauty, that one blue lotus is the 10th canto, especially the Purvardha, especially the love of the Vrajvasis, which is described in the 10th canto, is that one beautiful flower. And Shukdev Goswami takes us through that journey. You cannot just jump to that lake, to that flower. You have to go through the entire 9th canto, as Srila Prabhupada said. And then you reach that 10th canto and you find that beautiful lotus which has amazing fragrance, which describes about this wonderful love of the Vrajvasis towards Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So Shukdev Goswami is bringing Parikshit to that part, and he has already brought, since we are in 82nd chapter, Parikshit has already experienced, he has already heard all that bhava that Vrajvasis have towards Śrī Kṛṣṇa. He has already experienced it. And now Shukdev Goswami is continuing that journey further. So for that person, imagine for Parikshit, who has heard these wonderful pastimes of the Vrajvasis in the 10th canto, how much his mind must be attracted to that. So Parikshit, who is that swan, who has experienced, tasted the beautiful fragrance and exquisite beauty of that one blue lotus in the middle of 10th canto, the love of the Vrajvasis, has that great anticipation and eagerness to experience that thing again. And even Shukdev Goswami, who has been describing this pastime, he also has that desire that maybe once again we can go back and describe the love of the Vrajvasi. It will be so great. So Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami, the two swans going through this lake, having this intense desire to again discuss the love of the Vrajvasis, and going through that journey, they come back again to that blue lotus and then start opening the petals of this blue lotus again to help us and to help all the hearers and listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam to come back again to that most beautiful section of Srimad Bhagavatam where the love of the Vrajvasis is being described. So this is this 82nd chapter. This is that juncture in Srimad Bhagavatam where Sri Shukdev Goswami is revisiting that beautiful topic which has gone past, which we have already heard in 47 chapters in the Purvardha, where the Vrajvasi's intense love for Krishna is described. He is revisiting. Now even in that lotus, just like you have a blue lotus, everything about the lotus is so beautiful and fragrant. So there are petals and there are other things which are very soft, fragrant. Even in that blue lotus, the most softest part, the most confidential part of that lotus is in the center of that lotus. That most confidential part, which is the most fragrant part of that lotus, the fragrance of which pervades the entire lake, that most softest section of that lotus is the love of the Vraj Gopis in Vrindavan. So Shukdev Goswami, while revisiting this topic in 82nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is slowly opening up the petals of that lotus, one by one. He is opening up the petals of that lotus and making us experience again the love that he has already described in 47 chapters. So we have already heard how when Krishna is meeting with all the Vrajvasis here in Kurukshetra, what is the eagerness Vrajvasis have towards Śrī Kṛṣṇa? How Mother Yashoda must be feeling when she is meeting with Krishna after so long years, after so many years now. So Shukdeva Goswami is describing that love now. And as he is describing that love, Parikshit, who is hearing this, he has that desire that, oh Shukdeva Goswami, now that you are starting to describe the love of the Vrajvasis, will you not again describe the love of the Vraj Gopis, the most beautiful part of that love that you have already described? Will you not revisit that center section of that lotus again? And this is that great anticipation that Parikshit is having here. Shukdeva Goswami understands that Parikshit is having that anticipation. He wants to listen to the love of the Vraj Gopis again. And this is the place, at this juncture, Shukdeva Goswami, after he has described the meeting of the Vrajvasis with Krishna in few verses, in 38 verses that we have seen, now finally Shukdeva Goswami, he takes a pause. He starts thinking. He goes in trance. He closes his eyes and he starts thinking of the love of the Vrajvasis. He takes a pause and then he says, Shri Shuka Uvacha. This is a place where he has taken a pause. So you see, if you analyze the verses in this chapter, if you go back, in the 22nd verse itself, Shri Vyasadeva has already spoken Shri Shuka Uvacha, where Shukdeva Goswami has started to describe the love of the Vrajvasis and he's telling how Krishna is meeting with the Vrajvasis. Now, Vyasadeva, it was not necessary for Vyasadeva to again use Shri Shuka Uvacha in between. Think about it. There is nobody else who is speaking in between. Shukdeva Goswami is only speaking in between. He could have continued that. Shukdeva Goswami, who has been speaking from verse 22, is continuing to speak about the love of the Vraj Gopis from verse 39. He could have done that, but he doesn't do that. Why? Because at this point of time, Shukdeva Goswami takes a pause. Now that finally he is revisiting that most exalted aspect of the love of the Vrajvasis, now that he is visiting the love of the Gopis, Shukdeva Goswami also takes a pause. He thinks about it. What is the extent of love that we are now going to discuss? And therefore, since he has taken a pause, he is in trance. He is meditating on the love of the Vrajvasis. And when he opens up his eyes and he starts speaking, Vyasadeva says, Shri Shuka Uvacha. And the first word that Shukdeva Goswami says is so heart-wrenching. He says, Gopyascha. The first phrase he uses is Gopyascha. The word cha is very significant here. Cha means bhi, gopis also. So Shukdeva Goswami, who has taken a pause to meditate on the love of the Vraj Gopis, as soon as he starts to speak, he says, Gopyascha, oh Parikshit, what can I tell you about the love of the Vraj Gopis? What can I express? How can I express it? And he says, Gopiyan bhi. The gopis also met with Shri Krishna. Just as the Vrajvasis are meeting with Krishna, the gopis also met with Shri Krishna. Now this word cha is so significant. Because you see, when you are using this word also, it is to show some stark difference. Like if you invite some guests in your house, and you say, and you are just relating that incident to some person, and you say, no, I invited some devotees to my house, and that devotee came, this devotee came, this devotee came, and that Maharaj also came. So when you are trying to put a focus on particular aspect of an incident, you use a word also or cha. So Parikshit, who has been hearing, Shukdeva Goswami, who has been explaining the meeting of the Vrajvasis with Shri Krishna, he is telling that, okay, Krishna met with all the Gopas, Krishna is meeting with Nanda, Krishna is meeting with the Yashoda, and all their love is exalted. It is great. It is obviously, the meeting is very heart-wrenching. They are meeting after so long time, and now that Shukdev Goswami is going to explain the meeting of the gopis, he has to take a pause and he has to say that, oh Parikshit, what can I tell you about the love of the Vrajvasis, Vraj gopis especially, and how they met with Krishna? It is something special, and therefore he says Gopyascha. The gopis also met with Shri Krishna. This is some special meeting that we are discussing here. This is very special. The gopis who are in intense separation from Shri Krishna, from so many years they haven't met with Shri Krishna, they are just about to die, they are just about to leave their body. Now that finally they are going to see Shri Krishna, what must be their heart? What must be going through their heart? And this is where Shukdev Goswami is saying, Gopyascha, O Parikshit, the gopis' love is immeasurable. I do not know how can I explain it. Even Shukdev Goswami is falling short of words when he is trying to explain the love of the Vraj gopis. So it's an intense section of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very intense section. You see, Bhagavatam, reading and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is not like a newspaper reading. It's not like a newspaper reading. In news, relate to incidents. Shukdev Goswami is not reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Parikshit, this is what happened, and this is how they met, and everything got over, and then they went back to their Vraja. This is not how Shukdev Goswami is experiencing and explaining Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us that when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not like a newspaper reading, that we are just having some incidents in Srimad Bhagavatam and we are just reading it. Srimad Bhagavatam wants us to get into it. It takes us, it transfers us to that world where the incident is happening. And Shukdev Goswami also, the listeners and the hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam is supposed to get into that pastime. Go to that place, just as Shukdev Goswami he is feeling. Is Shukdev Goswami, are the gopis in front of Shukdev Goswami? No. He's sitting in the audience. There are so many rishis sitting in front of him. Parikshit is sitting in front of him, but Shukdev Goswami is not present there. His mind is completely absorbed. Shukdev Goswami is seeing himself in front of the gopis. He is seeing the face of the gopis. He is seeing the face of Shri Krishna. He is seeing Krishna meeting with all the Vraj gopis, and in middle of that, the gopis who are completely hopeless, they are standing and they are waiting that when we will have that opportunity to meet with Krishna. So Shukdev Goswami is having that feeling. And Parikshit, who is the best of the all listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also completely absorbed. He is also having that intense desire to hear about the love of Vrajvasis. And knowing this desire, because the listeners and the speaker is actually in sync. Actually, if you see in the Vedanta, in the Marga of Jnana, it is generally seen that the speaker is considered on a higher platform and listeners are considered on a lower platform. But in Bhakti it is not like that. In Bhakti it is not like that. In Bhakti both the speaker and the listener are on equal platform. There is no difference between the speaker and the listener. Because both of them are doing seva. One is doing Shravan seva, one is doing Kirtan seva. So Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit are in sync. They completely understand. They are completely absorbed in this pastime. And therefore here he says, Gopyascha, O Parikshit, what can I tell about the love of the Vrajvasis, and what can I tell about especially the love of the Vraj gopis? Now, before we go ahead and try and understand, now we have limited time and it's very difficult to do justice to this verse in such a short time. So before we go ahead and try and understand how Krishna is meeting with the Vraj gopis, which is the entire section after this, the entire chapter after this is only discussing about that. And what is the extent of gopis' love for Shri Krishna? We have to understand what subject matter we are dealing with. this subject matter of Krishna's love for the gopis and gopis' love for Krishna is not ordinary. It's not some ordinary love that we are dealing with. In Narad Bhakti Sutra, Shri Narad Muni, when he starts to describe about the nature of bhakti, in the second sutra, Narad Muni says, Satu asmin param prema rupa. This is the sutra described by Shri Narad Muni. Srila Prabhupada wanted to translate this entire book, which was, I think, later translated by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So the second sutra, Narad Bhakti Sutra, says, Satu asmin param prema rupa. What is bhakti? He says, the nature of bhakti is supreme love for Śrī Kṛṣṇa. This is the nature of bhakti. And as Narada starts to describe about the nature of bhakti, at a certain point in this literature, in this book, he gives another sutra. He says, Anirvachaniyam prema swarupam. He says, the bhakti means supreme love for Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and that supreme love is indescribable. Anirvachaniyam prema swarupam, one cannot describe it. When he still starts to discuss something about that bhakti, he says, Tadarpita khilacharita tadvismarane param vyakulata iti bhaktihi. Narad Muni, he gives many quotations. He says, Parashara says that this is bhakti, this Rishi says this is bhakti, the other Rishis say this is bhakti, but what I think, Narad Muni says, Tadarpita khilacharita tadvismarane param vyakulata iti. That Tadarpita akhilacharita, for Śrī Kṛṣṇa, when a devotee engages his entire life, his entire senses, his entire prana only for Śrī Kṛṣṇa, Tadarpita akhilacharita, and tad vismarane, and when a person does not remember Śrī Kṛṣṇa, param vyakulata, one is completely devastated when Krishna is not in front. And to give an example, Narad Muni says, Yatha Gopikanam. This is the topmost example of bhakti that Sri Narad Muni gives. Just as the gopis, how they loved Krishna. This is the example of bhakti that Sri Narad Muni puts in his Narad Bhakti Sutra. This is one of the sutras. Yatha Gopikanam. Just as gopis love Krishna, this is bhakti, he says. Now Narad Muni says, Anirvachaniyam prema swarupam. What is this nature of love? He says, Anirvachaniyam, it cannot be described. So let's try, and now Narad Muni says, is there a way, is there a possibility, how can we understand it? If it cannot be described, how do we understand it? So let's try and see what Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur says. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur has written a very beautiful literature called Prem Samput. In Prem Samput, Krishna disguises himself in a form of a devangana or a demigoddess, and Krishna comes in front of Srimati Radharani to understand the extent of Srimati Radharani's love, the gopis' love. So now, since we are discussing about the love of the Vraj gopis, so we have to understand which subject matter we are getting into. How exalted is this subject matter? Now Krishna asks Radharani that please tell me what is the love that you hold in your heart for Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So this is a verse speaking about the love of the Vraj gopis, the love that gopis have in their heart for Śrī Kṛṣṇa, spoken by the most authoritative source, Srimati Radharani herself, written by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur. So let's recite this verse and try and understand. So please repeat after me. Yo vedayed vividishum sakhi vedanam yat. Yo vedayed vividishum sakhi vedanam yat. Yo vedana tadakhilam khalu vedanaiva. Yo vedana tadakhilam khalu vedanaiva. Prema hi kopi paraeva vivechane sat. Prema hi kopi paraeva vivechane त्यन्तर्दधाति अलमसौ अविवेचनेऽपि So Srimati Radharani explains what is this bhakti. See, we have already discussed, Narad Muni says bhakti is prema and prema is anirvachaniya. So if it is anirvachaniya, how do we understand it? So we have to take shelter of some other words. So Srimati Radharani says, what is this prema? What is this bhakti that gopis have in their heart? She says, Yo veda yeda vividishum sakhi vedanam yat. Oh Sakhi. Sakhi means Krishna, who is disguised himself as a Sakhi and wants to understand the extent of love that Srimati Radharani holds in her heart. Srimati Radharani says to that Sakhi, oh Sakhi, what can I tell you about the love that we have in our heart for Shri Krishna? Yo Veda Yet, a person who tries to explain that love. In this case, I am here trying to, maybe we are all together trying to understand and explain that love. Yo Veda Yet Vividishum, with a desire to know that love. Sakhi Vedanam Yat, whatever is explained about that love. Yo Vedana, and whatever is understood by that. Tad Akhilam Khalu Vedanaiva, all that is just cheating. So Srimati Radharani says that a person who is trying to explain the love of the gopis that they have in their heart for Shri Krishna, a person who is trying to explain that love with a desire to understand that love, whatever he explains and whatever is understood by the listeners is all cheating. Prema hi kopis para eva vivechanepi, because the nature of this love is, she says, it is para, it is something transcendental. It is something transcendental. Antardadhatyalamasau avivechanepi. When somebody tries to approach, tries to catch hold of it, I want to understand it, let me try and read so many scriptures, read many literatures, and then I will understand what is the extent of the love that gopis have in their heart for Shri Krishna. As soon as one tries to catch hold of it, antardadhati, it disappears. That love disappears. And avivechanepi, if one sits down thinking that if only I cannot understand, what is the use of describing it, then also it remains concealed. So nobody can actually truly understand what love gopis have for Shri Krishna. Especially here when they are meeting with Shri Krishna after such long time, who can truly understand what gopis have in their heart? And therefore you will find time and again in Srimad Bhagavatam, wherever there is description of the gopis, wherever there are words describing the love of the gopis, be it Gopi Geet, Viraha Geet, Yugal Geet, any Geet, the 6 kinds of the Geet that we have in Srimad Bhagavatam in 10th canto where gopis are expressing their love towards Shri Krishna, time and again you will find all our acharyas, when they are approaching and they are wanting to write commentary on that, they offer thousands and thousands of obeisances to the gopis and Srimati Radharani, saying, oh gopis, how can I am taking up this mammoth task of trying to explain your love to the readers of Srimad Bhagavatam by writing commentary. This is such an audacity. Can I understand? Can I even approach that love? Therefore they offer thousands and thousands of obeisances. Be it Śrīla Jiva Goswami, be it Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Pad, Sanatana Goswami, all of them, they first of all offer obeisances to the gopis and accept it with all their heart that with all our scholarship, with all the knowledge that we have, with all the scriptures that we have read, we just cannot understand the love of the gopis that they have in their heart for Shri Krishna. That's all. So you see, even when we are trying to approach, we haven't even approached. It's already 8:50. We have to understand that we just cannot understand. This understanding itself is knowledge. that we cannot understand the love, the extent of the love that gopis have in their heart. And therefore I believe that's why Srila Prabhupada always cautioned us. Whenever such topics came where Krishna's dealing with gopis are being described, Srila Prabhupada always cautioned us that we have to approach it with great attention, with great eagerness, with great respect. So here, let's begin and let's try and understand each and every word. This is Shukadeva Goswami explaining the love of the gopis. The first word, the first phrase we already heard, Gopyascha. Cha means gopis also met with Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Now when Shukadeva Goswami is finally describing the meeting of gopis with Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he says Gopyascha. Now in this word Gopyah, there are many emotions, there are many bhava that is present. As soon as Shukadeva Goswami, who is standing in front of the gopis, who is standing in front of Krishna and seeing Krishna and gopis meet, now that they are finally meeting, and now that Shukadeva Goswami is saying gopis also, when he is saying Gopyah, he is remembering all the incidents that has happened in Vraja when Krishna was present in Vraja. So as soon as you say gopis, you have to understand who are these gopis. Shukadeva Goswami is saying, oh Parikshit, the gopis also met with Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Who are these gopis? These are the same gopis who danced with Śrī Kṛṣṇa in the middle of the night. These gopis who obtained such great fortune which was not obtained by even Lakshmi. These are the same gopis who left everything for Śrī Kṛṣṇa in the middle of night to meet with Śrī Kṛṣṇa. These are the gopis who surrendered everything for Śrī Kṛṣṇa. These are the gopis who even with for a moment of separation they would feel that this is like a yuga itam nimeshena govinda virahena me. So as soon as Shukadeva Goswami is saying Gopyascha, Parikshit, who is sitting on the edge of his seat wanting to listen to the love of the Vraj gopis, he also is like, now what? Now what is that love that we are talking about? So he says, oh Parikshit, remember all that has happened in Vraja. How gopis met with Krishna. What was that extent of love? When Krishna was leaving Dwaraka, when Krishna was leaving to Mathura, how gopis were pitifully crying for Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Remember those gopis. They are the same gopis now. Today they are finally meeting with Śrī Kṛṣṇa in Kurukshetra. So all the bhava, now if we try and expand, it will become another hour explaining what is the bhava behind Gopya. All that we have already read in the 10th canto in the Purvard about the love of the Vraj gopis. We have to include everything in Gopya. Gopyascha. These are the same gopis that are meeting with Śrī Kṛṣṇa now today. And therefore he says, now to give a glimpse of that love. Now because Shukadeva Goswami does not have time that he can go back again and explain the same pastime in great detail about what gopis must be feeling about Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So therefore to give a glimpse of their love, Shukadeva Goswami uses one special characteristic of the love of the Vraj gopis. And what is that one special characteristic? He says, Yat prekshane drishishu pakshma kritam shapanti. O Parikshit, just by this one characteristic you can expand in your mind and understand the love of the Vraj gopis, that these are the same Vraj gopis who are meeting with Krishna in Kurukshetra, who cursed Brahma when they were in Vraja, even when there was a momentarily separation from Śrī Kṛṣṇa. These are the gopis. So even when there was a momentarily separation from Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the gopis, when they were having darshan of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and when their eyelids would blink, even in that moment of separation, they would start cursing Brahma, that Brahma, he does not know how to create. If he had to give eyelids, he could have given to those people who were not in Vraja, who were not having darshan of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Akshanavatam phalamidam na param vidamaha. Gopis feel that the only purpose of this eye is to have darshan of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. And this Brahma is such a fool. Does he not know that we are having darshan of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and these eyelids, the blinking of eyelids, create such disturbance in our having darshan? So these are that gopis, O Parikshit. These are that gopis who even in the blinking of their eyes they would start cursing Brahma. Think about the extent of separation they must have felt over these years. Are ek second ka viraha, they were not able to bear that one moment of viraha. They have been bearing years and years of separation, and now that finally they are having Krishna in front of their eyes, what must be their heart, O Parikshit? What must be their heart? Think about it. Goswami is explaining just one incident, one characteristic of the love of Braj Gopis is sufficient. With this, the readers and the listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam have to go back. They have to go back and just get absorbed in all those pastimes that Shukdev Goswami has already described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now if we start explaining all that has happened before, so I believe there is a nyaya that sometimes a person who has a horse, and the horse is generally tied, but that the owner of that horse sometimes leave that horse, go into the field and wherever he wants to graze. So similarly the listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam in this way are left. Jao jahan jana hai. Go wherever you want. Wander throughout the 10th pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto. Look at what was that extent of love that you have already read and heard and previously. And just bring that all in front of you and see the love of the Braj Gopis meeting with Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So this is how Shukdev Goswami is explaining Parikshit. Parikshit, just imagine. One moment of separation was so intense for them. What must be their heart at this point of time after so many years? What intensity they must have in their heart. And therefore he gives one characteristic itself. Left to all the hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Go ahead and do as much meditation, churning you want to do, you can do it. If you take this verse, even if 10 days are not enough to explain this. Such depth is there in Bhagavatam. Now, he says, Upalabhya. Now even these words are very special. Upalabhya. Labhya means having obtained. Upalabhya means having obtained from very closely. Now they are meeting so closely. Were the gopis not meeting with Śrī Kṛṣṇa when Krishna went away from Mathura? No, they were not. But Srila Prabhupada in his Krishna book, he writes that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam na gacchati. So gopis were able to have some meeting with Śrī Kṛṣṇa in the bhava form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. But was that meeting enough for the gopis? No, it wasn't enough. And therefore today they are meeting very closely. Upalabhya. This is the bhava behind this word. And who is Krishna? Shukdev Goswami says, Krishna is Chirad Abhishtam. That Śrī Kṛṣṇa is Chirad Abhishtam for these gopis. That means after a long time they have obtained their object of desire. The gopis' only object of desire is Śrī Kṛṣṇa. And that too they have obtained their object of desire, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, after such long time. And therefore Chirad Abhishtam. You see, when Krishna was present here in Mathura, and he went, even he was feeling intense separation from the gopis, which is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. One of the poets, while explaining this pastime of Krishna feeling separation from the gopis, he says that one time Krishna goes to take bath in Yamuna, and the gopis who are in intense separation from Śrī Kṛṣṇa, every day while bathing in Yamuna, the gopis would write something on the lotuses flowing in the Yamuna river, and hoping that maybe these lotuses would someday find some place in Mathura, and maybe Krishna would find them and understand what we are feeling here in Vrindavan, and then he would come back to us. So the gopis would every day go and bathe in Yamuna in Vrindavan, and on these lotuses they would write something. They'll put their or even just not write, they would just smell and give their smell to these lotuses which is flowing in Yamuna. So one time when Krishna, who was bathing in Yamuna in Mathura with Uddhava, he happened to find one of this lotus which was sent by Srimati Radharani. And as soon as Krishna touched that lotus, just that touch of a lotus brought all the memories back to Krishna. In English, I don't know what word we can use. There is one word in English, it's called nostalgic hit. So Krishna got nostalgic hit. You know, nostalgia, when you start remembering something from your past and you have all the happy and bad feelings, all the feelings together coming at once. So Krishna was hit by all those feelings, all those pastimes that he performed in Vrindavan at once as soon as he touched that lotus which was sent by Srimati Radharani. As soon as he touched it, he was hit by those emotions, he fainted. He fainted, started crying, and he just could not bear that separation. Uddhav, who was looking at Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he thought, what has happened to him? Uddhav brought Śrī Kṛṣṇa out of Yamuna, took him back to the Raj Mahal. Krishna was already unconscious. He remained unconscious. Uddhav went back, and after a few hours, Uddhav opened the door and started wanting to see if Krishna has woken up. Uddhav came in the room. Krishna was awake. When Krishna turned towards Uddhav, Uddhav saw streams of tears flowing in his eyes. And this is how Krishna told Uddhav, now you have to go to Vrindavan. Gacchodhava vrajam somya pitrornaha pritimavahan gopinam madviyogadhim matsandeshair vimochaya. Krishna starts describing the love of the Vrajvasis. Nanda Jashomati ke prema page palana ki lad bhare lalana ki lalach lagavati. Krishna tells Uddhav, every day while I am here in Mathura, one messenger, one duti comes every day. This duti is the remembrance of the Vrajvasis. The remembrance of the Vrajvasis appears in front of me. And every day she calls me that, oh Krishna, don't you remember the love of Nanda and Yashoda? Don't you remember how you did pastimes with the Vraj Gopis and how much they loved you on the banks of Yamuna? Don't you want to come back? Oh Uddhav, I do not know what to tell. I do not know, I cannot respond to that duty. Every day she comes to me, she wants to take me back. I do not know what to respond to her. Oh Uddhav, please go to Vrindavan. Please go to Vrindavan and save all these Vrajvasis who are dying in separation from me. And that poet writes very beautifully. Nanda Aja Shomati ke prema page palana ki lad bhare lalana ki lalach lagavati. Kahe ratna kar prabhakar sudha somadhi manju mriga nanani ke guna gana gavati. Amazing, this is very beautiful actually. That duti starts singing the gunas, the qualities of the Vraj Gopis in front of me, start reminding me of all that pastime that happened between us on the bank of Yamuna. Oh Uddhav, I cannot bear this separation anymore. Go Uddhav, go and save these Vraj Gopis who are dying in separation from me. So you see, it's not that just that the gopis were feeling intense separation from Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Even Krishna was feeling that intense separation from the Vraj Gopis. He was also having that separation, and therefore he says to Uddhav, Dhāryantyati krichrena prayah pranan kathanchanaha.
O Uddhav, dharayanti atikrichhrena. With great difficulty they are holding their life here in their body. How can I leave these Vraj Gopis in this condition? O Uddhav, just go and call these Vraj Gopis. Give my messages to these Vraj Gopis. And you see, when Krishna is sending these messages, he says, you see, Uddhav, go to Nanda and Yashoda and console them. Console them and tell them that Ayas say Krishna has promised that he will come. You can console them. But for Vraj Gopis, you cannot console them. Just give my messages, that's all. Just give my messages to them. And if Uddhav asks Krishna that, oh Krishna, if I give your messages and if they are still not consoled, what should I do? So Krishna tells, just repeat the message again and again, because if you try on your own, don't apply your brain, Uddhav. If you try to speculate and try on your own that because I am a Shishya of Brihaspati, I might do something which is more intelligent and I can convince these Vraj Gopis that Krishna is going to come. This is not happening, Uddhav. This is not happening. So just repeat my messages, that's all. So I think we are already over time. So I'll just maybe take 2 minutes to conclude this entire thing. So therefore he says, here the Shukdev Goswami says that this is how Krishna is meeting with the Vraj Gopis, and the kind of, when they finally saw Śrī Kṛṣṇa, they embraced Krishna within their heart and they attained such ecstasy which is difficult to be attained by the yogis who are constantly meditating on Śrī Kṛṣṇa. This is the kind of trance that Gopis attained. You see what kind of dilemma Gopis have. Even now that they are finally meeting with Śrī Kṛṣṇa, Krishna is in front of them, they just cannot go and hold his hand and say, Krishna, now we are finally meeting. There are Nanda, there are Yashoda, there are Devaki, there are 16,008 queens, Krishna's queens. The Gopis just cannot meet. So therefore they are just seeing Krishna, taking Krishna within their heart, embracing Krishna and feeling satisfied. And now from here, Krishna and Gopis, Krishna is going to say some words to the Gopis and try to console these Gopis. The Gopis are going to complain. And a very beautiful section is going to begin from here. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.